Hello and welcome to the geography of the Indian subcontinent. So, we are going to be discussing in this unit South Asia, right? And so, we're going to begin by looking at the geography, okay? So, India is a large country in southern Asia, right? It's separated from the rest of Asia by the Himalayan mountains. Because it's so big and cut off from the rest of the continent, it is called a subcontinent, right? The south of India is the Indian Sea. India is the seventh largest country in the world. It has deserts, it has jungles, it has mountains, it has forests and farms. The major rivers are the Indus rivers and the Ganges rivers. Big cities include New Delhi, Calcutta, Bombay, and uh, Bangalore. Okay, and so this is a picture here of South Asia. It is made up of these different countries. It is made up of Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, India, which is the biggest country you could see here, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. This is a satellite view of South Asia, right? What do you notice, right? Do you notice the mountains up in the north, right? Covered in white? What does that mean, right? And then also, do you notice the deserts, right? Do you see the more green areas as you're closer to the Indian Ocean, right? Look at the size of South Asia, right? If you were to put it on top of the United States, it's actually quite big, right? Again, this is a list of the different countries, and you could see there's several mountain ranges that separate these. How do you think that affects travel between the countries, right? Or how do you think it affects how people, adapt to their geography? All right, let's look at the topography of South Asia. So we have bodies of water. We have the Indus, the Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal, the Ganges, right? And the Ranapura up at the north, right? Let's take a look first at the Ganges River system, right? And you could see it's quite a large river system, right, that extends all the way up to the Himalayas, right? So snow that melts from the Himalayas drifts down this way, and it deposits at the mouth of the Ganges, right, on the Bay of Bengal, right? Mata Ganges, which means Mother Ganges, right? And as you could see, the river provides a lot of things for the people around there, right? It becomes not just transportation, but also food and a way to irrigate their plants as well, their crops. This is the Brahmaputra river system, right? This is the flood. This is some pictures of flooding of the Brahmaputra, right? And so you could see how also these rivers they provide life giving services, but they can also be dangerous, right? And then we have the Indus River system. You see, and this one runs more towards the west, right, between Pakistan and India, right? And that's more of a desert area, as you could see from the map. So you could see also from the pictures, right? You also have valleys and plains, right? The areas there where you don't see any mountains, right? There's a lot of are the valleys, the areas in between the mountains. And then you have definitely mountains and peaks, right? Like Hindu Kush, right? Mount Everest, right? Which we have talked about before is the highest peak on Earth. And a lot of people, it's been on the news actually, where a lot of people have been kind of like trying to get on. I don't know, of course, that's the case anymore with what's happening nowadays. All right, this is Hindu Kush, right? So pictures of this mountain peak. You have the Himalayas, right? Him meaning snow and Alea meaning home. So it's, home of the snow or home in the snow. Mount Everest is 29,035 feet. It is the highest mountain peak on Earth. And again, a lot of people try to climb it, but it's not an easy thing to do, right? And here's another picture of the Himalayas. and it's showing you there, how how the Himalayas formed. For those of you who remember in science when we talked about Pangea, and how when these land masses separated, you see that chunk there that became India, as it went up and hit the Eurasia plate, it that clash between the two created, right, the plates merging against one another, created this high mountain range, which is, of course, right, the Himalaya. This here is known as the Ring of Fire, also because there's a lot of volcanic activity, also caused by tectonic plates. And these, we talked a little about this too in science, how these can cause tsunamis, right, in the Pacific Ocean, the shifting of these plates, and these, of course, can be very destructive. All right. Part of the geography of South Asia also involves deserts and plateaus, right? There's a Tibetan plateau, which is flat land, right? High flat land, and then we have the Deccan Plateau and the Thar Desert, right? The Deccan Plateau is 31,800 square miles in size. Its elevation is between 2,000 and 8,000 feet high, and it comes from the Sanskrit word meaning the south. You also have the Tibetan Plateau, which is known as the roof of the world. What do you think they call it that, right? Think about that. Why do they call it the roof of the world? We also have the Thar Desert, which is the Great Indian Desert. It is 200 to 150 to 1,500 feet in elevation, right? And it can get really hot, up to 125 degrees Fahrenheit in July, right? Let's talk a little bit about the climate of South Asia. All right, so climate, December to March, it's cold. April to May, very hot, often over 100 degrees. June to September is known as the monsoon season, right? Where they get a lot of rain. Most of the rain comes during this time. And then October to November, you get less rains, right? And monsoons, they're huge rainstorms that come through the Indian Ocean, right? They bring enough rain during that short period to have supply the water for the whole year. But they also have strong winds, and they can create flooding, and the high winds can also be very destructive, right? These are the climate regions, right? Can you tell what the hottest area is, right? By looking at the different regions, what do you think it might be the hottest, right? Your arid land, exactly, right there, where you see kind of like where you have your deserts, but you also have some tropical wetness, right, with some jungles. You have tropical wet but dry, and you have humid subtropical, and you have your highlands. Winter monsoons, November to April. It's a map of them. And then you have your summer monsoons, right? And the monsoon season, like I said, it's nearly all of the rainfall for the entire year in one season. The economy actually depends on it in order for farmers to grow their crops, because that's when they get their rains. The monsoon season makes the land fertile for crops. Here's a couple of fun facts about India, right? The Taj Mahal. Remember we talked a little about it? It was on that picture, that postcard that I showed you. At about the same time the pilgrims were landing on Plymouth Rock, right, in the 1600s, the Taj Mahal was being built. Uh, it's almost 400 years ago. It took over 10 years to build it. More than 20,000 people and 1,000 elephants helped build it. Can you believe that? Why was it built? Right? You have any ideas? Right? It is in Agra, by the way, which is near the capital of India. Well, let's talk a little about the story behind the Taj Mahal, right? So Shah Jahan was the emperor of India from 1628 to 1658, right? Again, we're talking about the time that the pilgrims were landing. He deeply loved his wife, Mutsa Mahal. She died in 1631 when she was giving birth to their 14th child. The emperor was so heartbroken that he decided to build a massive tomb in honor of her love. The two of them were buried together inside the Taj Mahal. Since the Shah Jahan loved his wife so much, he used only the finest marble. He also made sure that the beautiful gems decorated her tomb. The Taj Mahal is one of the wonders of the world. It's also a tribute to love. To love, and those reflecting pools. Uh, those pools, if you stand on it, it'll reflect the Taj Mahal. If you go to Washington D.C., you'll also find these a similar reflective tool in front of the Washington Monument, and you could also see the Washington Monument reflected on the poles. It's in front of also of the Lincoln Memorial. So if you're ever in Washington D.C., check it out. All right. Celebrating the New Year, the Hindu New Year falls in October or November of each year. It is called Diwali, the Festival of Lights. For Diwali, people get dressed up in new clothes, send cards to friends and families, and give out presents. Sound familiar? Right? Lights, presents, cards. Sounds a little like something we celebrate too, right? Or some of us celebrate. Since it is the Festival of Lights, fireworks light up the sky, right? Also, the fireworks remind us of what American holiday? You know, that's right, the 4th of July. Clothing. Many women in India wear beautiful saris. Their clothing is brightly colored, right? For special events, women wear saris with gold embroidery and sequence. Men usually wear dhotis. They are loose pants similar to pajamas. In big cities, men wear American style clothing, right? Children wear jeans, t-shirts, and skirts at home. They usually have uniforms for school, like you all. Indian women love to wear jewelry. They wear earrings, nose rings, bangles, which are bracelets, anklets, rings, bracelets, and even jewelry in their hair. Here's a couple of pictures, right? The following are just some websites, right? And more websites. But that is it. I hope this was useful, right? And you can use some of this information, of course, in your your little travel log that you are creating. Okay. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.